peak earlier in the year and like were coming on and surprising people. That was fun to watch at the time because you go back and watch the tape and you're like, dang, dude, they're just sound. And here goes Kenneth Walker, and he's about to explode. But the Giants, to me, were the belief, watching them in warmups, talking to the coaches, talking to Daniel Jones, knowing his back's against the wall in that market, and then wills this team to a playoff berth. Are you kidding me? I mean, I hate it for him because I'm a quarterback, but like, who's my guy throwing to? Like the tight end they had from San Diego State got hurt for a while, was in and out of the lineup. They lose Tony, who was one of their top picks a couple years ago. Like they're trying to figure it out.
Right.
And it's hard to play like that without reps and throws to those players. And this kid's still getting it done. On third down, he's got guys hanging all over him against Green Bay in London. We called that game. He's all bloodied and beat up. And he's still just standing in there, taking shots and delivering accurate throws. It's incredible. Him and Saquon have done it all. Like that to me was wild.
Mark, Daboll did that with Josh. He's running Daniel Jones now.
Oh, there's like 6 or 7.
And he's bigger than you think.
Oh, he's way bigger than you. That's a big, tough dude. He's gotten a lot of heat. I don't want to be the quarterback apologist up here, but at the same time, like that dude's been through a lot in that market, and to come out of it, come on, man. That's like that's all the grit you need.
You could see them going to like a Minnesota and winning, or toe-to-toe with
They're
Dallas.
They're going to shock somebody. They're going to like totally derail somebody or take them down to the wire, right? Just because their defense is so multiple. One of these teams that hasn't played them much or only played them once and thinks they're getting one game plan gets another. The way that they've finished games, the way that defense is playing, I mean, the two studs in front, Dexter
Lawrence.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau.
Yep.
And my USC guy.
Leonard.
Leonard. I mean, are you kidding me? Those guys will wreck a game. Those guys will ruin someone's playoff hopes, And
so they've invested some money in that front and some draft capital.
And Wink Martindale's got those guys playing great. I think their biggest issue is really a lot like the Jets the other day, like the interior coverage of backs and tight ends. If you get into like pony personnel, I think that's been difficult with them for Tate Crowder and those guys.
Would you rest any starters, or would you just play them
for the Giants?
Yeah, like he said, J-Mac said, just don't play Barkley. Everybody else,
because they're in no matter what, correct? And they have there's no seating issues with them. They're locked into 6. Yeah, so.
I don't know if I want
you. There's 3 ways to do it, right? And I think we're running up against time, but 3 ways to do it. You either sit everybody,
right?
You do the preseason type deal where you do like a quarter or a half or something like that, just to get them rolling and moving around and feeling good, and then or you just play everybody and fingers crossed nobody goes down. I'm curious to see what Daboll does, but I mean that guy injecting life.
Oh, he's my coach of the year.
It's. Wow. And there's some good ones too, right? I mean,
Shanahan.
O'Connell's been great. Shanahan's been great. Like that's Zach Taylor too. I mean, the Bengals were like,
no kidding. And they lost
at the beginning of the year too.
Yeah. Hey, bud, great job this year. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
And
we'll be back for playoffs. Don't kick me off too soon.
No. Always welcome, buddy. Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2023 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs. Every member's waiting to impress. Learn more. Go to MB, that's Mercedes-Benz, MBUSA.com, MBUSA.com. For J-Mac, Ryan, Mark Sanchez, Channing Crowder was great. Albert Breer had all sorts of Derek Carr stuff that got us thinking for 2-3 hours. See you tomorrow. Oh, Pete's going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, Gino's been great.
That's right.
Especially with the way the season's gone, losing this, pivotal player in Russell Wilson, who's meant so much to the franchise. Now you got to take over for a guy like that. Like, that's pretty tough. I mean, that's like Steve Young taking over for Joe Montana. Like, that's really, really hard, right? The bar's set so high. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? But knowing Coach Carroll, I mean, he'll bring in somebody. I don't know if what Gino did this year, granted, it was incredible. I don't know if that's enough to say, okay, I'm going to pay you the going rate, which is $35 to $45 million for a starter over 3-4 years. Like, did he play that well? I don't know. Now, if he played like Jalen Hurts or something and he had him, in a playoff position 3 weeks ago and they won the division and all that, maybe you say, okay, that's our guy. We'll get somebody in the 3rd, 4th round to be his backup. But now It's, where else is Gino going to go? Where does he know the system best? What's best for Gino? And most likely it's to stay there unless another one of these teams is going to break him off major, right? Or he's the bridge guy and grooms a guy and understands his role. But there's a buy-in aspect to that. Now, does Gino want to do that? I don't know. It's better for the team to have two guys, to have a Gino who they know can play at the level he played at this year, and then have a guy with, this incredible ceiling, and you hope that potential gets realized. So a lot of questions there. I'm curious. Obviously, I'm supposed to talk to Coach this weekend.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not going to talk about any of that. He's tunnel vision.
No, I get it. But
which is the way he should be.
Yeah, you talked about buy-in, and I think that's the right.
Yeah, that's going to be part of it. Is it better? Like, will your career financially going somewhere else? You're probably going to make more money. Somebody's going to spend on Geno Smith, and whether he has to compete there or not, whatever. But football-wise, winning games, you're realizing your potential as a player with this system, that's worth a certain amount in its own right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Compared to the millions of dollars you're going to make somewhere else. But Geno hasn't ever signed that monster contract. So it was almost like Teddy Bridgewater. Would he have been better off staying in New Orleans? Probably, career-wise, like football-wise, performance-wise. But he'd never signed like that monster deal, so it was time to go make money somewhere.
Right.
And that's the decision he made, and nobody's going to fault him for that.
Mac Jones, Boomer Esiason said, don't love the body language. Trevor Lawrence was dealt a bad hand. You don't see bad body language. Tua has been dealt a bad hand. I have defended Mac Jones. I like my quarterback to be in the moment and intense. But there is now multiple people saying, body language, Mac Jones, what do you make of it?
I think it's kind of becoming something like it comes off like he's whining or like bratty almost, but I don't know if I totally buy that. And a lot of the body language talk is like it. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, even Drew Brees, maybe not Drew Brees. He was like a robot. There's some other really good players in this league who absolutely lit up officials, lit up coaches, like I've heard Tom just absolutely eviscerate a white hat before. And I was like, whoa, that was wild. But, do the palms up, kind of throw their Eli Manning, like guys. But if you're winning and you've won a Super Bowl and you're successful, like everybody's like, oh, that's the fire I want. But if you're losing and you're not performing well, then it's now all of a sudden, oh, you're a whiner. You can't play this position.
Right.
You're a baby. You're too emotional.
Right.
So I don't know if I totally buy that.
Oh, that's good. It's
just kind of like a fair weather kind of.
Yeah, I thought Jay Cutler, my takeaway, Jay Cutler's was the worst I ever saw.
Well, he just seemed apathetic at times, just kind of like, whatever, take it or leave it. But at the same time,
that's because he was.
but then he'd throw just an absolute seed through like four defenders. You're like, whoa.
No, Jay had
incredible.
He had a great arm. All right, stick around. Mark Sanchez, other end. If you own a business, been a bumpy ride, pandemic to inflation, you could use a little break. If your business has just 5 or more employees, doesn't have to be a big business, just 5 or more, and you managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate up to $26,000 per employee. It is not a loan. It is a refund of your taxes. Challenge getting your hands on it. Go to getrefunds.com. Their team of tax attorneys have already returned $1 billion to businesses. They do the work, no charge at all up front. They simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types qualify, even those that took some PPP money in nonprofits. Do you qualify? Remember, not a loan. It's a refund of your taxes. Go to getrefunds.com.